I had not trained as a driver. I didn't have a particular degree of skill, and I very quickly realized this is more car than I can really manage. You know, my limits are here and the car's limits are there.
It takes a lot to admit that, yeah?
Yeah, it scared me frequently. I would put my foot down, go, this is a lot. Such a low budget hack. Kuch nahi hai. You just buy the pipe that goes into an aquaguard here, and just cut it and measure it and fill it in through here. That's it. I kind of said, I want to be the guy who can go under the hood, play around with it, tweak stuff, whatever I can do. I want to be that kind of car guy. I don't want to just have enough money to own an expensive car. I want to be the guy who can work on it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of History on Wheels. Today is a special episode because it's not really a fancy car, it's a simple car, it's a hatchback. But this is a hatchback that really captured the imagination and the souls of a lot of car enthusiasts in the country. It's about unwavering passion, it's about the pure thirst for driving pleasure and timeless design. It's a car that accelerated its brand's presence in the country, and it's a car that's no longer in production, but it's still sought after. I'm talking about none other than the Polo GT. And to talk about this car with us, we have a very charming star, a Polo owner, a true enthusiast who's done a lot with this car. Imran, thanks so much for being on History on Wheels with us. We're really happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm a fan of the show.
Thank you so much. And incidentally, one of the Hindi movies that I have actually watched is Jaane Tu Jaane Na. It's a movie that I can watch again as well.
Thank you.
But you're the monk who sold his Ferrari to buy a Polo GT.
Yeah.
So tell us about this transition. I mean, that is really radical.
Yeah, I guess it is. You know, when I was a kid, I've always been fascinated with cars. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I got a gift of this toy model Ferrari. Okay. It was an F40. It was a super detailed model. You know, you could open the doors, you could turn the steering wheel, the wheels would move, and I fell in love. And I said, when I grow up, I will drive one of these one day. I didn't think that I would own one. And then I found myself in a position where I was able to actually buy myself one. It was one of the most exciting things that I'd ever got.
Yeah. Dream come true.
Absolute dream come true. But I realized after a couple of years of actually having this thing, I live in Bombay, where do I drive it? I had not trained as a driver. I didn't have a particular degree of skill, and I very quickly realized this is more car than I can really manage. You know, my limits are here and the car's limits are there.
It takes a lot to admit that, yeah?
Yeah, it scared me frequently. I would put my foot down, go, this is a lot. And I've also always loved hatchbacks. This is the thing. The first car that I had that was mine was a Maruti Zen.
And the Zen was really a pocket rocket, wasn't
lovely.
it? Yeah,
I loved that thing.
Yeah.
And I zipped that thing all over the place. I made some unsuccessful attempts at learning handbrake turns. Ill-advised, but you know, you're young and you do foolish things. But I've loved hatchbacks. And so I reached a place where I kind of decided that what I really want to do is build myself one of those classic hot hatches. I sadly missed the boat when they were bringing in the GTIs. They only brought in 199, and I missed the boat on it.
Yeah.
So I got the Polo GT, and this is the last of the 4-cylinder models. This is the last of the DSG. It's the last 1.2 liter, I got one of these, and I've spent the past 4 years.
I can imagine you've done a lot with it.
I've done a fair bit of kitting it out. I'm also from the generation that grew up with Fast and the Furious. So with all of the Fast and the Furious stuff, you know, having grown up watching all of these.
Tokyo Drift.
I mean, the introduction to drifting, it was so cool. I kind of said, I want to be the guy who can go under the hood, play around with it, tweak stuff, whatever I can do. I want to be that kind of car guy. I don't want to just have enough money to own an expensive car. I want to be the guy who can work on it, modify it, some basic level of mechanic.
Build your own piece of happiness.
Yeah, that's exactly that. That was the motivation. Yeah. So I went into it with the idea of go online, see what you can learn. What can you do by hand?
Okay, well, I'm very, very, very sure that this car has an awesome exhaust.
It does.
Can we hear it?
Come on, let's do the thing.
Let's do it.
Let's fire it up.
We need a rev. That just sounds... Okay, now we need to drive this, yeah? We really need to drive this.
Of all the things...
Why?
The first thing that I did was custom suspension, because that changes your driving dynamics.
Correct.
Like, you get the feel of that.
I'm okay to say I've been Challans a couple of times in my life, but you know, when you have a great car, it is just so difficult to keep within that speed limit, especially if you're out on the expressway or something like that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, before you realize it, you've actually passed a speed limit and you're not trying to do it, but it just happens.
It just happens. Like, sorry, sir, it just felt like fun.
I thought I was at 60, you know, it just feels like that in this car. So what all have you done to this car?
Okay, so I approached it with the idea of as few cosmetic changes as possible, because I didn't want it to be obvious.
Yeah.
All of the stuff under the skin. I swapped out the wheels. I got Momo wheels. I went up just 1 inch. I got a custom suspension, which really has changed it out. I've been fine tuning the damping, so I've not got it right where I want it yet. So I got in an OEM paddle shifter steering wheel, which plays nice with the DSG. It is a custom exhaust all the way through, starting from air intake. Famously, the Indian Polos come with the Indian spec air intake, which takes air from inside the engine bay. So that's one of the first things that I did myself by hand. I got the Euro spec air intake piece, swapped that out.
So you work on the cars yourself?
Yeah, whatever I can do by hand, I like to do by hand. So I did that myself. The first early couple of things that I did was I swapped this central piece out. The standard Polo light is a single switch and one light bulb. This is a piece from the Jetta. So you've got individual map lights, you've got a little red LED glow that's kind of nice. The headlamp switch, again, I used the piece from the Skoda.
Yeah.
Which comes with an auto sensor, which you can see sticking out over there. I haven't attached that yet.
Oh, cool.
It's work in progress.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on the forums. I'm on the Team BHP forums, on all the Polo forums where people are talking about little tweaks that they figured.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I can do that by myself. I watch a couple of YouTube videos, and I'm like, I can do this thing. I'll learn how to do it. I did a Superchips Stage 2 engine tune.
Oh, nice.
And a TCU tune as well.
Do you know how much you've upped the power?
You know, I'm not a numbers guy, so I've not even bothered to put on a dyno.
It's just that.
It's the feel of it. There you go.
And that feels good. I like the nice muted exhaust sound. It's not too in your face, and
that was the idea.
It still gives you the feel. So she gets a second wind, yeah?
That's the turbo.
Yeah,
That's
the turbo. Yeah. Let you give it a round. Yeah, I'm being gentle with her, and I wasn't exactly very gentle, but. Sorry, the seat will be way forward for you.
Let the lady pass and open up the road in front.
If all of us behaved like that on the road.
This bit of opening up the air intake, starting with that Euro spec air intake, I've shifted to a conical filter.
Yeah.
You can hear the air induction.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've been picking that up.
Yeah, there. That was fun, and thank you for letting me drive this car. I haven't driven one in a long time, so this has been really lots of fun.
Although I wish we had a zippy car, man.
Nice winding track to drive this on, right?
That's the thing. So let's reschedule and do a proper track day where we can really take the car to the edge.
So this leads me into a nice, fun, rapid fire round of questions with you. What's your favorite driving song?
My favorite driving song, man. It changes. Currently, I'm listening to a lot of this band called The War on Drugs. They've got this killer song called Under the Pressure.
Yes.
Which kind of just builds and builds and builds, and it's
that's crazy. A road that you have on your bucket list to drive on.
A road that's on my bucket list to drive on. I've driven the Pacific Coast Highway in California. I've driven on the Great Ocean Road in Australia. I have not done any significant driving in Europe. So yeah, I don't have a name of a road, but those little European winding little up-down roads, one of those.
Yeah.
And again, you want something small. You want a Miata or something that you can dance around on those roads.
And do a couple of donuts in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the...
ICE or EV?
ICE. I'm emotional about it. I have not driven a single electric vehicle yet in my life.
Seriously?
I've sat in a couple, I've never driven one.
Okay, so you have to do it for that feeling, that instant torque that hits you bang at zero. That's a feeling as well.
But it doesn't make a noise.
Yeah.
That's half the fun.
That's the love of the car, right? Manual or automatic?
I would have said manual, but the last few years I've been driving a DSG, and the quickness of a DSG with a paddle shifter, you can't match that speed on a manual. Your specific control with a manual, there are some things that you can do with a manual that you can't quite do, but on a day-to-day basis, I would choose a DSG.
Yeah. And have you ever put NOS in your car?
I have not. Is that legal?
Thank you so much for being on the show with us. My producer had to call it cut and say stop talking, because you're obviously so much of a car person. I've enjoyed this conversation so much. And we have a lot more to do together. Track next.
Please.
Yes?
I'd be thrilled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Spanning over a decade from 2010 to 2022, the Polo had quite a journey in India with a roller coaster ride of highs and lows. But this was a car that really set itself apart from the competition with its build quality and great driving dynamics when it was launched way back in 2010. It was the car that really defined its brand's presence in the country. The fifth-generation Polo arrived in India within a year of its international launch, boasting robust build quality, capable suspension setup, and engaging driving dynamics. However, its engines were a letdown. Both petrol and diesel delivering just 75 horsepower, let down the otherwise brilliantly engineered car. In addition, in a country where a family travels together, the cramped rear seat really hampered its allure. Despite these shortcomings, the Polo's exceptional quality and durability resonated with its customers. And with masses of money being spent on marketing, it set new benchmarks in the Indian market. At the end of the first year, they had sold over 36,000 of the Polos, an impressive start by any standard. But that was the peak. Sales started declining due to the high cost of ownership and a market full of competition that just outdid it. Still, there were hardcore enthusiasts throughout its lifespan. Let's take a look at the key milestones. 2010 was when the Polo was launched with 1.6-litre petrol and 1.6-litre diesel engines. 2011 saw the addition of a 1.2-litre petrol engine with 74 horsepower aimed at a lower price point. 2012 was a facelift. 2013 saw a return to catering to the enthusiasts with a 1.2-litre TSI petrol and a 1.6-litre TDI. 2014 was a minor facelift and the implementation of dual airbags. The diesel also got an upgrade and a 1.5 TDI engine with 90 HP made its debut. 2015, Dieselgate meant no more diesels. 2017, there was an interior upgrade with infotainment touchscreen finally, but the analog dials remained. In 2018 was the introduction of a more affordable 1-litre naturally aspirated 76 HP petrol engine replacing the imported 1.2-litre unit. In 2019, Volkswagen hinted at bringing the next generation Polo to India under its 2.0 program, but it never happened. It just got a facelift and a zesty 110 HP 1-litre TSI with a more fun exhaust note and pep in its step. The Polo was finally discontinued in 2022, marking the end of an era for the iconic hatchback in the country. While the Polo may have departed, I know that the brand directors have hinted that the Polo may make a comeback. Well, there are many fans who would love to see this car back on Indian roads.